Good morning, John.
Hey Phil.
You well?
Always well, bro.
That's what we want to hear.
Good to see you again. Another fairly a hectic fortnight of pool, billiards, snooker. It was all
that
happening.
works, yeah.
So yeah, really good time. I suppose we'll start with the latest and just what's.
Well, there. Well, what show you got on today? I want to know about this.
Okay, this is
Well,
our Vegas shirt.
So it's an Empire shirt.
So Empire shirt rather from Super League, and I'll just do a quick showing of the back there.
Bit of promotion for Alex.
A bit of promotion for Alex again. He does actually make a minor contribution to the shirts. But yeah, I feel really it was probably to announce a massive change in the black.
Whoa.
Now, as you know, as a former black player, I've had we'll call it the franchise for want of a better term, for probably 30 years now. And there's been changes, whether enforced changes through handicaps and people moving, married, having children, whatever it may be. But yeah, we've had a massive upheaval this year.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to personally make some changes, and what it's led to is a mass exodus still.
Oh, wow.
They've deserted the sinking ship, the captain's going down on his own, and that's fine. Hey, look, I understand the reasons why other people chose to support others. Hey, look, and I've never got an issue with that, and as you know, I don't carry any bad blood against anyone. There's no value. But what it has allowed me to do is free up the team to introduce some new blood. And that's what the league needs. We've got the same players going round and round and round. Not enough new blood going into the state team.
Yeah.
Jack Hunter, Stacey Mine.
John Lehman. Alex Fibronide.
No, well, I'm just talking about the guys that's 40 years.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're not good enough.
Yeah.
But they should have to work a whole lot harder because there should be more young people vying for those state spots.
Yeah.
They're still good players. I've never questioned their ability. But they should have been replaced 15 years ago. Yeah. Not still making state sides today. And they'll still represent our state very proudly, and I'm sure I'm prepared to invest a bit of cash on them. I will be there. So anyone who wants to get on, you can log in on Facebook and let me know. But I'm more than happy to back our team, as I've always done.
Yeah.
But yeah, this effectively is the end of this shirt. There will be new shirts. As you know, young Jason's joining us. I have another young player that's going to play with us as well. And that's really what I've tried to do over time, is introduce some new blood, get them to a standard where one day they could actually be a state player.
Yeah.
And I just got a bit frustrated with some of our players where weren't invested and probably were never going to make it.
Yeah.
So they didn't allow me to free up spots to bring new players through. And we'll see what happens, but yeah.
Well, I can only see with the handicap system, John, as opposed to when there was no handicap system and you used to have the same teams every year, all them strong teams. But the handicap system has created that you do have to change teams anyway now. So you can't just load your side with your mates. You've got to look at different options.
Yeah, and, well, it's fine. And I think at the end of the day, the league will be better off for it because effectively we'll have at least one new team.
Yeah.
And I was hoping that, with maybe Stacey and Lyndall leaving, they'd make up a team as well.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me, rather than just do the same thing they did, which they knew wasn't perfect. If they do fall into that trap, well, that's their concern. But I'd rather they've actually made another side.
Well, they're probably going to have to get some new players to replace you, John.
Yeah, well,
Anyway, there's two teams. Like you said, you made two teams.
Yeah, so we've ended up with a minimum of two.
Yeah.
So that's been good. Then, of course, on the weekend we've had the Johnny Walker.
Yep.
Fantastic tournament. Probably as good a numbers as Alex ever had.
I think over 160 players.
Yeah, because we tended to be sometimes even under 100.
Yeah.
But very strong support from Victoria again, which is fantastic. Great to have the Vics here. As you know, we're fierce rivals, but off the table, there's probably no other team we're closer to, and probably because we spend more time with them than anybody else. But we've got a lot of very good mates there.
Yep.
And obviously JR and Jakey came over. Who else was part of that? A young man from, he's just over the border from Mount Gambier, Chase Daly. Chase, yeah, very impressed with him. Modi boy, and made quarterfinals of Berry also. So I think we'll concentrate on maybe quarters up.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, great tournament, well run. Ash runs that bar like a Swiss watch. Alex keeps those tables immaculate. He's even down there, even when he was still playing in the tournament. He was still alive. He was brushing in the tables in between matches, and tables always play well. It's credit to him, and it's the reason why most people come back.
Well, I think getting a tournament in the city and getting 165 players, that I think that's amazing. I'm really happy for Alex.
Yep.
This has been a long going tournament now, and like you said, he has struggled with numbers, but all of a sudden, bit of interest in the sport, maybe the pockets, stuff on the line, everything's starting to happen, and it's fantastic.
Well, fair play to him too, because he did. There was stages when he had considered not running. It was costing him money.
Yeah,
the tournament shouldn't cost you money. The idea is that you bring people in, you spend invest a bit for prize money. People spend money over the bar, you get a return.
Yeah.
But he persevered, and now the tournament's been very successful. Having Jakey win it, obviously a high profile player like Jakey, I still consider our premier pool player in Australia. Lots of other good players, no question, they're all quality players, but none of them are in Jake's class.
So who were the quarterfinalists then, John?
Okay. Now, I did actually write something down, and as usual, I left it on.
So it would be, I reckon it was Jack Hunter versus Ricky Watson.
That's right.
And that's fantastic for both them players, but like you said, both old school players and still holding their own.
Yeah, still playing well too.
I reckon Jimbo and Sawan.
And Sawan, was it? Yeah.
Jake McCartney and Chase.
And Chase, that's
and
right.
Mikey and
Stoner.
Mark Stone.
Stone, yeah.
Just to get in the last 8 is a fantastic effort.
That was a tough field. There was a tough field there. And those guys all, let's have a look at Stoner could be a state player. He wanted to.
Well, hasn't he in the past?
I'm not sure whether he actually made it.
Okay.
I don't think so. But it's because he's probably chosen not to play. The commitment for the 2 weekends to him has just been, something he's not prepared to give up. But I can tell you, I rate Stoney as high as probably bar the absolute top shelf of Adelaide players. He would be a great asset to any state team, and we would love to have had him go away with us for years now, but he just has other priorities, and that's fine. He still loves the game. He goes, I don't care. And I said, what do you mean you don't care? I said, you're the fiercest competitor. I know. Yeah. He's tough as. But again. Get back on track. Sorry, mate. So then.
It was Jack Hunter and Jake McCartney in the semis.
In the semis, that's right. And Jimbo played Mikey in the other semi.
With Jack Hunter, though, John, you mentioned him getting back in the state team, and he's obviously playing very well because he's backed it up and got through the semi-finals.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's very. I'm really impressed with Jacko. Resurgent to his game, and it's always been a great bloke. Jacko's been one of the really good guys in the game for years, and he came from the West and went back to the West for a while, and he's come back here again, and he's well received wherever he goes, and I wish him well, and it's good to see that he's maintained a good standard after using that time to qualify, and the hard work it takes to qualify for the state side, and now with Jimmy and Mike, I'm a bit surprised that Jimmy got Mikey actually. If in American, I'd say they'd probably be line ball. Snooker, they'd be line ball. But in 2-shot pool, I would have thought Mikey was favourite.
You know what, John? Through my experience through playing my whole life, when two friends play one another that practice all the time, they don't sort of have that fear for the other person. Like
it then becomes that.
It's just they're playing their mate, and they play every day. And Jimbo wouldn't have been fussed about playing Mikey like someone else might have been.
Correct.
And I've seen them upsets, and I wouldn't say that's an upset, but although Mikey is the heavy favourite, Jimbo definitely would have seen it that way, and
that's right. And the way Mikey plays is a very aggressive style too, so he probably lessens that advantage because I can imagine those frames would have gone pretty quick. I never got a chance to watch them. I was at home actually. I think I watched a movie with my wife.
Well, don't say that one.
After Jakey had dispensed with me quite sort of thickly and said, "See you later, JB," I'm going, I had one more drink. My wife wasn't well. She rang me and say, "Oh, I've just been here. I'm going to stay home." I said, "Well, is that a license for me to stay and keep drinking, or a license to bolt?" And I chose the latter.
You made the right decision.
I chose the latter and bolted it.
Get to see another day, John.
Yes, mate. What else has been going on?
But just before we finish though, congratulations on Jimbo making the final.
Jimbo making the final. Jakey too
winning
good. Great to have him back over here. I think he goes back to the UK this week. So yeah, that was his last tournament in Australia, and I'm pretty sure this next weekend he's back to the UK.
John, in the last 3 tournaments, Barry, the Pockets, and he's won 2 and lost 1. So he's effectively lost 1 match in 3 tournaments against the best players in Australia. So just highlights how good a player Jake is.
Yeah.
And all the best in England, Jake. We know you're a star. And
wish you all the best, mate. And obviously I'll be trolling you. Yeah, we'll all keep an eye on you over there, and he loves the fact that he gets so much support from back home when he's there.
Yeah.
He said it does help boost him.
He is one Vic we would adopt though, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely. No, I think actually there's a bit more red in that man than we know. But yeah, we'd love to have him over here, and the Red Army would welcome him gladly.
But anyway, what about the Vegas League?
Well, no, another good season.
You did tip that the Mighty Ducks were going to win it.
I thought the Ducks. were favourite. Yeah, well, we were smokies. We actually had to have sort of almost all of our ducks in a line actually to do that, or stars in alignment, whatever you want to phrase it. But the Ducks, I thought, were the favourites, and they did make the final. They played.
They played Jimbo's team in the final.
Oh,
but
you sent me a net. Let me just check something nice.
Too
nice or very nice. I can't remember.
All I know, John, is that I got told that there was 11 pot outs in the final.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing standard.
For 21 frames, yeah, that's me.
And in the semi-final and the final, Jimbo won all 10 frames, and he shot plus 48 in the semi-final in a match that went down to the wire. So, talking about Jimbo winning the 2-shot bull, he also the week before beat Mikey in the final and captained the team and shot like plus 48 and won 10 out of 10. So
well, I was unaware of that. I mean, that's a huge stat. As you know, you've played Vegas several times, Phil, and you know how tough it is. But to shoot plus 48, your team should have bolted it.
That's right.
So you should have to be able to play in the last game.
Plus 48 and keeping them in there. That's amazing stat from Jimbo. Just to win 10 out of 10 in a semi-final and final. And when you're going up against the Mighty Ducks that you said have got Jason Ahmed and a Mikey Casiola and Aaron Lynch, just for name 3.
Well, Lynch is one of those. He's a unique player, and that he's enormously skilled. Plays casually because he's he's a businessman. He runs his own business and he works very hard. And he makes an effort because him and Mikey are so close. They go back a long way and they're very good mates. And he just stands up. Yeah. He's got one. You find these guys that just seem to be able to embrace the moment better than others. And I would say Aaron Lynch is as good as anyone I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of poor players in my multiple years in the game. But yeah, just something he's got a unique skill to be able to do that.
He's very similar to Mark Stoneman, really.
Similar, yeah, correct.
If he wanted to make the state team, he'd make the state team.
Correct.
I mean, he's won a state singles before, and even that when Alex plays Scotch doubles, that's Alex's partner.
Yeah.
Alex can have any player in the state to play with in doubles, and Alex chooses his partners wisely, and for Aaron just to be Alex's doubles partner just shows how good a player Aaron Lynch is. So,
the recognition from the Iceman is a big thing.
But well done to Jimbo. Who else was in that team? Dave Ewing,
Daniel Porter, Costi, and Trent Bowes.
So
and Casterio, of course.
When you name that team, John, it's still a.
Hey, they're both quality
star-studded side, especially when you've got Daniel in there who just won the Australian
8 ball, Australian American 8 ball rather.
So it wasn't a trend, and that's a fantastic team anyway.
And they are called Super Nice.
What are they called?
Super Nice.
Oh, okay.
No one else calls you that. You got to call it yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, they're good blokes too.
So
Super Nice.
Well done to
Super Nice beating the Ducks.
Yeah. Anyway, we get some snooker information, John.
Well, there's been plenty going on still.
Well, on the weekend we had the Australian Snooker Championships. Well, I'll just take 2 steps back before that. 'Cause in our room at the moment, we've ran the single seasons. And
yes.
This week we've got our finals. So in the championship, which is the major one, Stacey played Frank Zhao. I fancied Stacey could probably Frank Zhao could have beat Stacey in that semi. Stacey hasn't been very well. He struggled in the state snooker, but I think he got his back up losing to Tyson and wanted another shot at the title. So Stacey beat Frank Zhao 4-0.
Yep.
To book his spot in the final. So it's Stacey and Tyson playing in the grand final this Thursday.
Okay.
So that's our number. We own the state snooker title. It's our premier event. So that's going to be a fantastic match, Stacey and Tyson, which although Tyson got him in the first time, that is by no means over that final. Stacey can easily win that final. And then in the plate, we've got Peter Udich playing Kieran Maguire. You probably don't know much about Kieran, but Kieran's an up-and-coming player that's hard worker. He had a bit of fortune because he should have played Peter Darby in the semis, but Darby was sick and he's been ill this week. So he had to forfeit at the 11th minute, or 11th hour, should I say. Yep. So Kieran gets to go against Peter Udich, which Peter will start the favourite in that match, purely on experience, but don't be what's the word? Surprised if Kieran gets up and beats him. If Kieran plays well, he can match Peter, but obviously Peter starts favourite there.
Yep.
And then in the Challenger semi-finals, we had the 2 young guns went off, which was Ben Zalco, the South Australian Junior Champion, versus Jason Yu, the new crowned Australian Junior Champion. Jason won 4-2, but that match had 5 frames went to the pink or the black. And they had a re-spotted black in there, and it was very, very tight. And Ben beat Jason at the Australian Junior titles in the round robin.
That's right.
Jason's now got one back, so it was a match that could have gone either way. But Jason won 3, and he's playing against Noor Al-Usori in the final, and he played Seppi in the semi-finals. Seppi came out on fire, John. He is 3-1 up, and I don't think you probably don't know Seppi, but he's also a feisty character. Loves playing snooker, and he plays to win. And I thought he probably started favourite in that match, but 3-1 up, race to 4, shot at the black to go in the final. He misses it, goes safe. Noor has a shot, sticks it up again. He has another shot at it, misses it. 4-2, 4-3. And Noor gets up for 4-3. So, poor Seppi, as I said, he played so well. You know what it's like, one foot in the final, and all of a sudden you give the other guy some hope. So anyway,
an extra leg. You've opened the door.
That's going to be another interesting final. Noor, we had two seasons where Noor was top in the first one, and Jason and Seppi were equal top in the second one. So effectively, the 2 group winners are playing one another, and probably with Seppi, the top 3 players in the event. So that'll be youth versus experience. And I probably thought Noor may start slight favourite, but after Jason's performance on the weekend, Jason may be hungry to continue.
We can move into that now.
And then in the plate in that event, we've got Chris Wilmer, who defeated Vinay Singh 3-0. I thought that was going to be a close match, and I had Vinay favourite there, and Chris Wilmer got up. So he's proving to be an improving player in all codes. And his opponent, which is one of his good friends in this room, Mike Wellens, and we all know Mike, he's one of the volunteers here. Mike also had an impressive victory over Matt Milkey. So we've got Chris Wilmer and Mike Wellens in the plate there. So 2 nights of finals this week in the club, and it's always good when you're playing finals. But the headline is Stacey and Tyson. Got a tip there, John?
It's Stacey. Stacey's just had. He's been through a lot of issues about his knee.
Yeah.
And hopefully he'll get a ruling on what happens.
Yeah.
And I think psychologically that's played on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has hurt him. And I think if there's some call on the leg in a positive way to him, I think he will win.
Yeah, well, Tyson's an amazing player, but the one thing Tyson hasn't seen is a firing Stacey, because like you said, Stacey hasn't been right this year, and Stacey, 14 time world champion at 8 ball. He's made 100 break in the league this season. He knows how to win. He knows how to compete. He just hasn't been operating at 100%. So if
you're physically unwell, and you can't. I mean, particularly with our game, anything to do with your legs, your back, or your shoulders. If that's not right, then all of a sudden you're making adjustments for your action. And if your knee's not good, you're sort of moving around trying to find the right spot so it's not giving you any pain. And I think it's certainly hurt him, I think. And as soon as he gets some sort of call on whether that gets repaired or not, as you know, he has qualified for the state team.
Yeah.
And we've held his position open simply because the circumstances of his knee and his operation are outside of his control. He said, "Oh, too late, mate. The shut-off is now." And then we had a committee meeting on the weekend, and it was discussed, and it was decided that we'd give him every opportunity to be a part of it.
Well, let's hope his knees fit.
Hey, we'd love to have him. We know how valuable he is to our state, and he goes away to. I think the last time we went with full ball, we won everything by the ladies.
Yeah.
And he won the Masters singles that year as well. James won the Open singles. Linda won the ladies singles. We won Masters teams, Open teams. Like, it was just unbelievable.
Business as usual, really.
Well, a little bit of cherry on top too. But yeah.
So anyway, Stacey and Tyson, they're two phenomenal players, and if they both come to play on Thursday night, it'll be an amazing final. So anyway, good luck to both of you there.
Yeah, that should be fantastic. And unfortunately, I've got to practice for my new Vegas team. Bit of reshuffle there as well. We filled in with Brad and Guy and Stewie last year because JL and I were sort of in limbo, if you like. We were going to have a year off. And then we filled in with them, made the finals, did okay, but was always going to be an interim visit. It was never going to be permanent. So now, again, I'm trying to bring new players into the league, and Nick Lynch he played with us in Nebraska as well, and then young Charlie Hatton wants to play. I was chatting with her and her mum at Berry, and they mentioned at that time that they both like to play, and I said, well, look, I'm looking for some young players to try and help, and I think Charlie would work well with us, because JL and I are always going to be around the place, and between us we've got a little bit of knowledge about the game. We probably don't cue as well as we did in the past, but we understand the principles of the game, and I think will be valuable for her. I've also got another younger player I'm approaching. I can't say much about that right now, but also, it's just one of those a rebuilding year, which would be very good because the league starting to fizzle. I mean, Annette and Tony have pulled their team out. They've had enough. They're not playing this year, so we need to, if we can get another couple of teams in the league, I think it would be very good.
Yeah.
And obviously the handicaps are adjusting all the time. That's why. We've been through changes as a lot of the teams have. It's always nice to say, oh yeah, we've got a winning team. I mean, when the MP5 was flying, I mean, we won 4 out of 6.
Yep.
But each time we had to cut players because the handicaps, people could start to play better, and eventually that team broke up. But that's still good for the league, and that's the reason why the league's still relevant, is the fact that the handicaps, you could be the lowest handicap team, still win. Yeah. And that sort of brings us back to the I suppose the grand final as well of the Super League.
Yeah.
And sort of in that we have a 0-point team in the grand final.
Yeah.
Against a 12-point team.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So 12.5 is the maximum, and 0 is the minimum. And that's the, so that probably was never our aim, I suppose. I mean, it was try to make it fair, but as I wasn't part of the handicapping team, these handicaps will be addressed because that's just anyone who can run a rack should never be a 0 point.
That's right.
Yeah. Sometimes you can get away with it in the American game because you've got a bit more leniency, or their pocket's a bit more generous.
Yeah.
But in 2 shots, you shouldn't be able to pot out.
Yeah.
Unless you have skill. Yeah. And there were some issues in one of the semis about a player who actually did run a rack.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to be 0, so well, hang on. But again, handicaps will be adjusted, but that should be an interesting fight. And that's next weekend. It must be because we had a bye because of Johnny Walker. Yeah, so it's this weekend, this Saturday coming. So lots of pool going on, and obviously Alex is very happy because it means that the room's full, and it's good when they can make some money during the daytime as well. Yeah. I mean, obviously the weekends it flies in there. It's just fantastic. It's absolutely buzzing in there Friday, Saturday night, but the cream is the extra stuff to get through the day.
Yep.
And if you can actually have the tills stick it over the daytime, then hallelujah, it's a happy time. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, John, over in Melbourne on the weekend, there was some history made. They had the Australian Snooker Championships, and for the first time in a long time, there was 2 new South Australians that were competing in the event.
Yep.
So young Jason, you went over and played, and nearly crowned state champion Tyson Crinnis went over there and played, of which we all had some high hopes of Tyson. Jason did phenomenally well, John. It's his first Australian snooker title. It's only his 3rd one, and he won his first match 4-0. So to win a match in the Australian title, I think it's a great achievement.
He's nearly 40? Is he 13?
He's only about 13 and a half. And then, I don't know whether it's fortunate or unfortunate, but he drew Steve Mifsud in the 2nd round, who was the Australian champion, and gave Jason the opportunity to go against arguably one of Australia's greatest ever snooker players.
Yeah.
And to his credit, Jason took 2 frames off Steve Mifsud, and for saying you're 13 and it's only your 3rd tournament and you're going up against a legend, and I watched the match and he played very, very well in that game.
Yeah.
And Steve goes on and wins the tournament. He breaks the record. He's now won 9 Australian singles titles. So he held that record with a South Australian Max Williams.
That's legend here. Yeah.
And they thought it wouldn't be beat. And Steve's he turned 50 that week, and he won the Australian title for the 9th time. He won the final against his brother, who was ranked number 1 in Australia, and his brother had beaten him the last couple of times in finals.
Okay.
So I mean, it's also an honour that the 2 Mifsuds are in the final. Their mum recently passed away, so it was quite emotional at the end for the 2 brothers that they had a lot of family members there watching the final, and they were playing in honour of their mum. So for Steve to get up and win, he beat his brother 6-1 in the final, beat Adrian Law 5-1 in the semi-finals, who we know here in Adelaide from playing in our leagues here, and beat Sean Delitz in the quarterfinals 4-1. So Jason, you actually took more frames off Steve Mifsud than anybody in the event. So fantastic effort for Jason on taking 2 frames off Steve.
Hey, look, the commitment that young man's shown, and he's fortunate, again, I think I've mentioned this before, Phil. Patrick, his dad, is so committed and so supportive that it's fantastic. And he hasn't pushed it. This kid wants to play. Sometimes you'll get out there and you practice and you'll do this and you'll run the streets and do whatever. No urging required. You know?
Well, I know in the ring last night, John, we needed a fill-in for the billiards. Jason heard that and he asked his dad if he could fill in. His dad said, I might not finish till 10:30, and his reply was, and I just want to play in the billiards. So not only is he playing every other Cuesport, he wants to join the billiards league as well and play that. So he just wants to get on the table. So that's why him doing well over there, and he came back really positive. So I think he will be in a good position for his final on Wednesday night. the opposite for Tyson, because Tyson won his first 2 matches, then he lost 4-2 to Sean Dalitz, and I felt Tyson would win that match.
Okay,
and, I haven't spoke to him what happened, but anyway, Tyson's now got to pick himself back up and come back and fire up in that final. But well done to both you players. Tyson getting to the last 16 of the Australian title, and Jason winning a match and beating Steve Mistwood. And congratulations to Steve. He's a player that John and I know very well.
Yeah, hey, look,
he's an amazing player.
And just and one of the top guys. Just
Yeah,
a brilliant person. I remember he came over here for a junior tournament. It must have been when Larry and Wazza had the Q Club at Weymouth Street. And he would have been a very young man now. I'm talking.
He would have been 12 or 13. So.
Yeah, he was still very young. And I was having a chat with his dad. His dad said to me, he goes, "This is the dream child."
Yeah.
He says, he goes, school, comes up, he looks after his little brother. It helps prepare food, does things, helps me whenever I need stuff. So I never have to say, oh, come and do this. He's always there.
Yeah.
You know, so he was raised well by obviously loving family, but was a very very dutiful. I will call it, for want of a better term, son. But his dad instilled the sort of disciplines in him that allowed him to progress in the game, and that's why he's always been. Well, I don't remember him not being involved at the top end of snooker for probably 30 years now.
He's been there the
It's
whole
been a
time.
long time. I mean, every time you look, oh yeah, Steve won this. Steve won out in the final. He was always been there. And you couldn't ask. He reminds me of you in a lot of ways. Same, you couldn't ask for a better advocate for the game, Phil.
Yeah.
Like you, he's that guy that you can go and have a chat to. He'll give you the time of day, ask the right questions. He's just going to give you straight down the line answers. And credit to his family and to his recently passed mum. But certainly a shout out to the Mifsud family from us over here in SA. And well done, Steve.
Yeah, and James making the final, making an old Mifsud affair. But congratulations, Steve. Winning 9 Australian titles is just phenomenal.
That's right. Well, it's taken over 40 years for that to happen. Max's run probably finished in the 70s.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But even at 50, John, and he's now won 9. That means every 3 or 4 years he's winning an Australian title.
Yeah. Well, I came here in 81 and I had never seen Max play.
Okay.
People just talked about him like this mythical creature.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was. I used to go and play in the old ABA down at Flinders Street and they had the board there. Max. Yeah. You had the odd someone beat who was it Harwood?
No, I reckon it would be his Bill Barry.
Oh, could have been Bill Barry.
Yeah.
But there was a Harwood as well. I'm trying to remember now. But yeah, these are all old legends when I was young.
Yeah.
But yeah, I reckon Max, because Max, I think he even went away to a couple of world championships as well. Because in those days you didn't get a lot of help.
Runner-up in one world title, John.
That's right. Eventually, he was a businessman, family man, and you were getting limited support to go away. You had to be your own coin effectively, and to leave a family behind to go and play snooker. You can only do that so many times.
Yeah.
So yeah, well done, Steve. Broken an amazing record that's taken over 50 years to play. Well, 40 anyway. We'll check on that date actually to see how long, because I've got a funny feeling that it was probably the late 70s, somewhere around 77, 78 when Max won his last one. Okay. Yeah. So
well, I can sort that. I'll check that on the board in a minute. But anyway, John, I'm done, man. I've got to get out of here.
Well, always great to catch up, brother. Hi out there in Cuesport's world. We'll see you next time.
Excellent. See you, John. Have a good day.
Cheers.